everyone, and welcome back to the Real Positive Girl podcast. My name is Sabrina. Happy Thursday, everyone. I hope that your day is going really well. If it's just starting, I hope that it's off on the right foot. I hope it's amazing, super cool, and going really well. If you're already in the middle of your day or towards the end, I hope that it was fantastic. And if it wasn't, if you had problems, if it was a sucky day, if you're like, ugh, I'm over it, I get it. And I hope that you took your 5 minutes, and if you haven't, go ahead and do it now or after you finish listening to this episode. Take 5 minutes of some time to be by yourself, to regain some peace, to reboot, to come back to baseline, to just take some time to realize that 4 or 5 things for you to be grateful for. Things that'll just help to regulate and humble your mood, make you feel a little bit better about life, and also maybe problem solve the issues that you are experiencing so that the rest of the day or tomorrow can be an even better day. And what I always tell you is do not throw away the rest of the day. Find some sort of way to salvage it, even if you're going through the rest of your day just feeling neutral about everything, but you're still in a more positive mood than negative and really trying to glean whatever is left in the rest of the day. So just keep that encouragement. But again, happy Thursday. Just a reminder that this week we are talking about personal boundaries, and today we're going to talk about dealing with backlash in regards to your boundaries. So let's go ahead and just jump right in. Not everyone is going to be okay with you setting boundaries for yourself, especially if they have been walking all over you and taking advantage. And because people get used to being able to treat you in the way that they treat you, so people are treating you nice, getting you, they're gonna treat you nice. But if people are treating you poorly and they know they can get away with it and there's not gonna be much pushback for that, and they find benefits in that, then they're gonna continue to do that and take advantage of you. But the number one thing I will tell you about boundaries is that you need to stand strong and maintain those boundaries for those to work. And boundaries will work for you if you work to keep them. So maintaining boundaries is one of the most difficult things ever because, you set them up and it's like anything else. You get it, you open it up, you're very excited at the beginning. You want to do everything you can to set it up and implement it into your life, and everything is going to be just hunky-dory. But then, when adversity comes your way, trouble, when it becomes hard to do that, when a little bit of loneliness and isolation peaks up in the air there, frustration, anger, people getting disappointed, guilt being trickled in, it becomes hard and you don't want to maintain them. You want to just give up. You don't want to have to put yourself through so much work just to maintain boundaries that you may not reap the benefits of for a little while. I get it. But those boundaries will work so well for you if you actually work to maintain them and just put in the time and effort to do it, because anything worth doing is generally hard in the beginning. And you have to keep it up, and not everything in life is easy. And I truly feel like things that are hard, you're going to learn and grow so much from those things, and it's become easy breezy over time. So you have to give it time. You can't expect everything to just work from the get-go. And not everyone will accept your boundaries at first or at all. So keep that in mind. But for the peeps that do and stick by your side, keep them close. Just know and be so grateful for the people that you end up sharing, that you're going to make some changes in your life, you're going to create boundaries, you're going to really, make your life better for a better healthy mindset, and just even physically it'll just feel good and you'll feel more free. Those people that are like, yeah, I am so in there with you, what can I do to help you, or do I need to give you some time to breathe and figure those out and then come back to you. Just cherish those people, because those people are special and rare. And I hate to say that they're rare, but people that just jump on board and are just care for you so much, right from the jump, especially through any sort of changes that you go through, those people are very special. So do not take them for granted. Also know that boundaries can result in certain relationships ending, which is something you should be ready for. more so with people you know are toxic and really just need to go away. And this creating boundaries might be the perfect excuse for you to be able to get rid of these people, because if you actually create those boundaries and own them and follow through with them, then these people might just be like, oh, you're not fun anymore, in a way that like you're not fun to play with anymore. Like they can't get anything else out of you, and they don't find you appealing anymore or necessary or helpful to who they are and what they're about. Then they're gonna just peace out, which at first it might hurt, but if you really know that they were not beneficial for you, they were toxic for you, they weren't helping you in any way, it was just like a status thing, you just felt good having those friends, and what that brought you in vanity, then it's better for them to just like roll on out, and better people will roll on in eventually. Just believe that. Try not to take it personal if people don't accept your new way of life, because it's their problem. They aren't willing to accept you and your changes. It might feel very devastating at first, but it's all about your mental health and what is best for you. And it will be fine after some time. Like you have to grin and bear it. You have to just do the work and sit in that uncomfortability for a little bit, because it'll be so worth it. I'm telling you, it'll be so worth it. And and I understand the struggle of taking things personally. I take everything personally. And I've been trying, and it's a current problem still. I don't, so sensitive, but I do take everything personally, and I try really hard not to. And there are definitely days where I'm winning, and there are definitely days where I'm losing, and then there are definitely days where I'm just really neutral about myself in that regard. But just try your best to look inside yourself and realize, if they don't want to accept you, it's not about you. I mean, maybe you might feel it's about you because you're like, well, they don't want to accept me because I'm making changes, and maybe I shouldn't make these changes because I need these connections. But if they're not willing to accept you in your changes, then how good of friends are they? How beneficial are they in your life if they're not willing to move and shake and flex with you? Because if you're willing to do those things for them and they're not willing to do it for you, that makes a really tough relationship to maintain anyway. So honestly, they were just taking it as a one-way street, because they obviously knew you would do it for them, but them not being willing to do it for you just means that they need to take some more time to work on themselves. They might be a little bit selfish, they might be dealing with their own dilemmas that they really need their own time to deal with, and maybe they will do that when they separate themselves from you, and maybe those relationships will mend in the future if they, if it's really meant to be. Those relationships are actually really important, but it'll be hard, it'll be sad, but just realize you have to make the changes you need to make for your benefit, and it'll be worth it in the end. Absolutely. And you'll be fine. You really will be fine over time. Especially if you have a really good support system, people in your life that actually do support you and care for you and are there for you. Just lean on those people and do not take them for granted for some silly person over here that never really appreciated you anyway, probably. And know that having boundaries is not selfish. It's just you taking care of yourself, which we are all responsible to do. And people might think that boundaries are selfish because a lot of people perceive boundaries as being just walls that we throw up around ourselves to keep people out, when that's not the case at all, because boundaries are really created to help us have a healthy mindset and help us to not just overextend ourselves in different parts of our lives where we don't need to, because we still want to harbor respect and love for ourselves and not just fully give things away for free and let people take advantage of us. We also don't want to isolate ourselves too much where we don't give anything and we don't actually create and craft relationships with others and have those healthy mediums and balance in life. So just know that having boundaries is not selfish. People might see it as selfish because you're holding things back or you're asking things of other people that you may not have done in the past. But just remember, it's not selfish. It's just saying no to going to a party, taking the time to do those self-care things, working out when other people would rather be sleeping or out partying or whatever it is. You're making those, maybe you want to spend devotional time at night when other people want you to stay up really late and watch a show. Whatever it is, it's not selfish. It's you taking care of yourself, and we are all responsible to do that. And if those other people choose not to do that, then that is their choice, and they might reap some consequences for that in the future. I don't know. You shouldn't worry about it. Something else that will help is to address boundary violations early. Don't let these types of things build up and overflow, kind of like an emotional volcano. You shouldn't do that with any emotions, actually. So if people are violating your boundaries, and let's start with the fact that you have to tell people that you have boundaries, because if they're violating your boundaries and they don't know that you have boundaries, it's going to be really hard to be like, hey bro, you're violating my boundaries, and they're like, I don't know what you're talking about. So hopefully with the people that are close to you in your lives that you feel like it's appropriate to have a conversation with them about boundaries, hopefully you've told them. And if you haven't told them, then you need to have a conversation with them. That will be your intro conversation of, hey, you know, I have these boundaries that I've set in my life, so I've had these limits that I decided to set for myself, and maybe they'll make fun of you. Yeah, it's true, people will. Or maybe people will look down on you or be confused or again think you're selfish. But don't take any of that to mind, because they're just saying that. People love to, project their insecurities onto other people because they don't understand things, or they feel jealous that you're able to do that. You're able to have the self-awareness and the self-care to actually do that. Or, they just feel so insecure and like angry that you're willing to take the time to do that, and they don't have anyone in their life to help them do that, or whatever the case may be. It doesn't matter. You just need to talk to them, let them know that these are the boundaries you've set for yourself, and these are the things you decide to do. And if beyond that they do violate those boundaries, you gotta let them know right away. You can't let it all just collect under the rug for it to all just shoot out one day. An emotional volcano that will just rain terror down on everyone, and then that kind of just shatters a lot of boundaries anyway, because you didn't really set yourself up for success in sharing those with people, maintaining it, improving your life overall. Really, you're just shoving crap under the rug and just letting it all come out when it's all become too much. You shouldn't do that ever with anything. I don't recommend it at all. And I know many people would agree with me, so just remember that. If you have a fear of confrontation, conflict, and don't ever want to create a hassle for someone, just know these things will prevent you from maintaining boundaries. So you're going to have a little bit of conflict and confrontation, especially based on the last point that I just made about like letting people know when they have violated your boundaries. And of course, you're going to say this in the nicest way. You're going to be calm. You're going to be cool. You're going to be like polite. You're going to be like, hey, remember when I told you about this thing? Yeah, I just want to remind you of that. Or listen, can you not do that? Can you not say that? I don't want to be a part of that. Please don't encourage me to do this. Blah, 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 whatever that conversation is going to be for you. And you're going to have to be okay with that, because if you're not okay with standing up for yourself and just kind of creating that quote unquote hassle for someone else, which is not really a hassle for them. It might create like a little crook in their plan, or make them feel a little uncomfortable, and make you feel a little uncomfortable. Let's talk about that. But that's just what has to happen, and it'll get easier over time, and it won't be so weird. Like, I know people that are so comfortable with just being like, hey, no, I don't want to talk about that, or no, I'm not comfortable with that, or nope, that's just not my thing. And they say it with a smile, and not even one of those like smiles where, they're just being totally, I can't even think of the word at the top of my head, but those smiles where people are just like, I'm better than you, don't do this, and it's not even like that. I see people that have like a genuine smile and they're like, no, that's just not for me, and I just love it. I look up to those people. Those people are great, and I don't think they think they're creating a hassle. And it doesn't even feel like a confrontation or a conflict. I feel like over time it gets so much easier as you get into more practice of this. If it happens, if people are continually violating your boundaries, which might happen a lot at the beginning because, trial and error, people don't understand, like maybe you did set out the rules but it wasn't clear, and people have to get used to it and remind themselves of it. Give people grace in the beginning. Definitely want to encourage you to do that. But just realize it'll get easier over time, and it'll be worth it to continue to let them know because you want to maintain your boundaries. You shouldn't have to sacrifice what you need in order to demonstrate your care for someone else. Absolutely not. Absolutely not. Like, why? Why should you become a shell of a person for someone else? And then what happens if you become such a shell and they don't find you, they don't find a need for you anymore? You've exhausted your need per se in their eyes, and then they just leave you behind and you're just a shell of a person, don't know who you are, what you're about, and that's nothing. No. No. You shouldn't have to sacrifice what you need in order to demonstrate your care for someone else. And I want to wrap up this episode by giving you an amazing quote. Brené Brown said it best in this quote: "Daring to set boundaries is about having the courage to love ourselves even when we risk disappointing others." Boundaries are amazing. And they're all about self-love and care and really helping ourselves become our best selves. And yeah, we might disappoint people in that mix. It might be tough for people to understand why we're doing it and what's happening. But that's a risk that we all should be willing to take and need to take to become better people, stronger people, and know that better and stronger people will filter into our lives once those people filter out. It's hard for me to describe, but the people that you need in your life will come into your life, and the people that you don't need, if you let them go, they will go. And they need to go to let the other good people in. So I'm going to end it there because I love that quote, and I feel like it's a really good way to end this episode. So, again, happy Thursday. Thank you so much for joining me here on the Real Positive Girl podcast. My name is Sabrina, and I hope that you really enjoyed this episode. And if you know someone else that would really enjoy this, please share it with them. Also, check out the description box for all the show notes, where you can find me on Instagram, and my email address. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, prayer requests, anything, go ahead and shoot me an email. I love to hear from you. But that is it for today. So again, happy Thursday. Thank you so much for joining me for this episode. Until next time, I hope I see you for tomorrow's episode. But for now, I will say bye, everyone.